Thanks again to our sponsors Hit Point Press and their Fable Makers deck. Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're going to be going over the second of two subclass from Fantastic Emporium. Our first viewer submitted subclass that we've decided to go over. And today is the Oath of Truth Paladin.
I mean, besides Oath of Devotion Paladin, is there anything that would be more Paladin than the Oath of the Truth?
It's up there.
I mean, yeah.
So, if you're new to the channel or the subclass series, what we're going to do is rate the roleplay, combat, and synergy based on the abilities gained in the subclass, how they improve on the base class abilities. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond Players Bundle giveaway.
Free stuff.
But yeah, let's jump straight into it. Alex, what do we get?
We're a Paladin, so we know what we get. We get tenets, and all classes and subclasses have the rules they live by, these paragraph things, but only Paladins have these tenets. And there's an actual mechanic in the book that says if your Paladin player does not hold up to these tenets, they could be switched over to being an Oathbreaker Paladin. And that's why there's something special, why we add that little bit to their score because of that. We've speak the truth, explore the secret, share the knowledge, reveal the lies. All those things make complete sense in the title of Tenets of the Truth.
Absolutely.
We're also getting some oath spells, and they're all going to sound very on theme. Fairy Fire, Protection versus Evil and Good, Detect Thoughts, Moonbeam, Dispel Magic, Daylight, Arcane Eye, Guardian of Faith, and Commune and Scrying. So again, there's gathering information, revealing falsehoods and such. Dang on par with what we get.
Then, of course, we get Channel Divinity options at level 3, 2 options as normal. Revealing Strike is the first one as a bonus action. Cause your weapon to shed bright light in 20-foot radius, dim light for an additional 20 feet for 1 minute, or until you make it stop, requiring no action, or until you lose concentration, as if concentrating on a spell. Once per turn when you hit a creature with your weapon, while it's glowing in this way, it deals an additional 1d6 radiant damage. If the target of this damage is a shapeshifter, or disguised by illusion or transmutation, like disguise or invisibility spell, they must succeed a charisma save or be forced to take their true form and have the illusion dispelled. An affected creature cannot change its appearance by any means as long as it starts its turn inside the light you emit. So definitely very focused on, again, revealing the truth of shapeshifters. And your second option is Divine Intuition. As an action, you gain access to intuitive knowledge. For 10 minutes, you add your charisma modifier to your arcana, history, nature, and religion checks, and you can understand any spoken or written language that you see or hear. Some definite roleplay potential in that one.
At level 7, we're going to get our aura. No surprises there. You radiate an aura that provides intuition and glimpses of foresight to you and your allies. You add your charisma modifier to your passive perception and investigation. And creatures you don't see don't gain advantage on attack rolls made against you or any ally within 10 feet of you. So those, stealthed, hidden, magically concealed in any way. And also at 18th level, the aura does increase out to a range of 30 feet. Additionally, you can expend one use of your Divine Sense ability. That's from your baseline, Paladin thing, which I'll reread here in just a second. To cast the Detect Magic or Identify spell without using a spell slot, which is great because the Divine Sense ability by itself can be a little niche.
Yeah.
Because as a refresher, is that as an action, you can open your awareness to detect such forces of powerful goods and powerful evils and things until the end of your next turn. You know the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet of you that is not behind total cover. You know its creature type, and of any being whose presence you sense, but not its identity. So you wouldn't know it's of a specific person or what it was, just the creature type. And in that same radius, you can also detect the presence of any place or object that has been consecrated or desecrated, as with the Hallow spell. And that's uses 1+ your charisma modifier per day.
Yeah, so just some more thematic stuff.
It gives you more of a more reliable use for that, which on theme and flavor for your subclass here.
For sure. Level 15, we get Inescapable Sight. You gain True Sight in 20-foot radius. All right, I'll take that. Definitely goes along with the theme of the class.
Yep.
18th level, the range increases to 40 feet. So it's still weaker than like True Seeing, for example, for the range at least. And it is a level 15 ability. So definitely interesting concept on there.
And finally, at 20, we have our avatar state, as we get with Paladins. You can become an avatar of the arcane light in the defense of knowledge and the truth, As an action, you take a pure and divine appearance for 1 minute. You gain the following benefits. You emit bright light in a 60-foot radius. This light dispels and prevents all magical darkness and illusions of your choice in its radius. Your true sight extends to 120 feet, and creatures can't hide from you in this range. You gain the effects of your revealing strike on each attack without expending your channel divinity. So that's the extra radiant damage. But this damage also increases to 1d8 instead of 1d6. And this is, just like all the rest of them, this is a once per long rest use for the Paladin.
Right. So yeah, those are all the abilities. So we'll just jump straight into the rating portion. First up is the roleplay rating, asterisk as always. Talking about roleplay, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background, that's on you as a player. We can't rate you. We can rate the abilities gained in the subclass and how they might improve your potential in those roleplay scenarios.
That's right.
So, all that being said, you have some really good RP spell lists on here, but you're a half-caster and you're a paladin. And
it's very true.
There is some consideration to be done with that. You have some solid channel divinity options as well, though there is some niche on there for, the light. If you really were in desperate need of getting some light, you could use your one to get a little bit of light for a short period of time. Desperate times, who knows. And of course, the anti-shifter attack. Later on when you have true sight and you are like, this person is a shapeshifter, and no one else knows but me, is a channel divinity and straight up wallop that dude and just reveal him in front of, a bunch of people.
Yep.
Definitely has some potential RP in there. You don't have to, go buck wild on him or kill him or anything, but
there are definitely situations like for RP where you just like punch somebody, you hit them once,
right,
for the whole purpose of revealing who they are. You're not trying to start a fight. Like
exactly.
It's not designed to be a full-on combat.
Right.
Not your intentions.
Yes. So there's some niche use on there, and then the aura, has some interesting increasing your perception and stuff like that for you and party within range, of course, is definitely interesting. And then channel divinity, the other option, getting the extra bonuses to the skill checks, and then getting the bonuses to your divine sense, some extra potential spell slots on there. And just as I already mentioned, true sight is always going to be helpful to have, though it can be a little bit niche. I know everyone's like, whoa, true sight is crazy, which it is very good. It is a 6th level spell for 120 foot range for an hour. So it is good.
Yes.
Though at max, you're only going to ever have 40 feet.
Yeah,
the thing is, too, if you're not dealing with illusions and stuff, or, anything crazy going on in the ethereal, then it's really not that big a deal.
Right. It's very particular when it's useful, but it's just very, very good when it becomes useful.
Right. So, obviously you fight against things that can go invisible, at greater invisibility, it gets a lot better. Yeah. But at 40-foot range, you got to get up there, in their face anyway. So it's not super crazy. It's solid. So for RP, we gave it a 4 out of 5. Mm-hmm. Some solid options, good utility. Just a few things on here have some limitations. You're a half-caster, so that has some limitations on there.
Yeah.
And then channel divinity options have limitations for sure as well, especially as a paladin.
On the combat side of things are very interesting. As in, this is another one of those subclasses that's very specialized in what it's going after.
Yes.
Shapeshifters and things like that, things that we be invisible. Because if you're not encountering those,
right.
The full force of what you can do is definitely unseen. It's limited as far as that goes. But when those are around, you excel. So it's going to be it's a very difficult thing to score because of that, because it definitely focuses on that, which is, again, can be both a good and a bad thing. But some of the couple of spells you do get, like your Fairy Fire, Moonbeam, still have very strong use in combat purposes. Even if you're not dealing with shapeshifters, they're still fine spells, especially Fairy Fire. That's a level 1 spell that's good always. And that's something to me, as our main campaigns have gotten into higher levels, and we've played more at higher end combats, is finding spells like lower level spells, 1s and 2s if you're a full caster, even 3s. Once you get to level 16, 17 on up, level 3s even become low level spells. Is finding spells that are still impactful
right
at later levels. Playing a cleric, the damage from Guiding Bolt isn't crazy. It's 46 for level 1 spell. It's fine. But giving that advantage is still makes that spell worth it, especially since you've got a rogue in the party and jump and trigger sneak attack, things like that. That spell still holds. Things like shield, absorb elements, things like that, they still hold. So that's Fairy Fire, another one of those that still holds. Your Channel Divinity giving you extra radiant damage is good because radiant damage is great. One of those top 4 damage types probably.
Yep, for sure.
After you get past Psychic and Force, it's probably it's number 3 on that list probably. Because very few if you're not a Celestial, you're not resisting or immune to radiant damage.
Pretty much.
And then the specific thing of them dealing with getting rid of illusions and transmutations and things like that, disguises could be very huge. Especially for like moving a story along in combat. If somebody's disguised, you get a hold of them that way. It's great. And then, as with all paladins, how useful is your aura? I mean, that's for me, because the paladin capstone, which we'll get to, is always a huge thing. But your problem with paladins again is they're kind of backloaded, and you've got to get to 20 to see that capstone.
Right.
So to me, for a paladin, the aura means so much. And this one is very, very specific. So it's going to be either very good or not very good. Just it's the way it is, which is fine again because you got to have some variety in here. You're getting your charisma modifier for some RP stuff there with perception and investigation, but creatures that you don't see can't have advantage against you on attack rolls. So if you're fighting hidden creatures, you're really putting the damper on their plans, and they think they've got the wool pulled over your eyes. That's not the case. And of course, once that aura is out to 30 feet, that's helping you and probably at least one other person, if not 2 or 3 people within your range, because 30 feet's a decent little range. And then, of course, the other things of you using your baseline ability to give yourself Detect Magic or Identification. The Detect Magic thing, primarily an RP thing. There could be some use for combat, but again, anyway. True Sight, like Jameson said, if you're fighting stuff, I feel like I've said this 4,000 times already. If you're fighting stuff with illusions and things like that, it's incredible. Otherwise, it's not doing you much. And finally, the capstone, you're extending your True Sight. So again, what I've already said 4,000 times. The fact that you get to remove and prevent all magical darkness is good.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger thing, again, is just choosing to rid yourself of any illusions in your way. But if you or another party member has got illusions, there should be some really fun things to do there. Like, I immediately think somebody in your party has cast hallucinatory terrain over here, and you wipe out all of
the other illusions.
All the other illusions, and you start to win in the fight, something starts to run away, and you're like, runs right off a cliff.
Right. Can be done.
Anyway, and then buffing your revealing strike damage to a little extra radiant damage, and it happens with every weapon attack. If you have extra attack, that's great. A little bit more damage, and it doesn't cost you anything to do it. Fine. all good stuff. But because of the specializations of focusing on the thing I've said 4,000 times in this video, we scored it at a 3.5 out of a possible 5. Super specialized, very impactful when that kind of stuff comes up. When not, not so much. Right.
And kind of going along with synergy as well, I will say one other thing to keep in mind too is with the Channel Divinity, it uses your concentration. So that actually is going to limit your options for your smites. You're really just going to do your base class smites because a lot of the smites require concentration.
Yes, they do.
So if
like Banishing Smite, for example.
Right. So if you're doing something like that, you can't have both of those things at the same time. Yeah. So that's one other thing to kind of keep in mind as well that you could easily overlook. So there is that. And again, specialization. As always, with any of these specialized classes like Mage Slayer classes or subclasses, stuff like that. There's always, if you're fighting that thing, you are spectacular. If you're not fighting them, you're all right.
I mean,
and this kind of falls in the same vein.
Original base ranger with its favorite enemy. Like if you're fighting that, you're doing the thing. If you're not, what are you doing?
Right. Exactly.
Why are you here?
But you do get some nice extra utility as a paladin as well with anti-illusion, anti-shifter kind of stuff going on. Very thematic with the truth. And then potent abilities for the anti-illusion, but again, if you're not dealing with it, it's nothing crazy.
Yep.
All that being said, I mean, Alex has already said it many times. So we'll just go with
So
a
many
3.5 on the synergy as well.
I said it so many times.
And I think part of it too is partly because, and my thought process here is partly because True Sight is very potent when it is applicable. Because, like, again, it's a 6th level spell for True Seeing.
Yep.
It's a 120-foot range normally, and it's an hour duration, I believe.
This is a third of that when it scales up.
Shorter, but it's all the time.
Yeah.
So, I think part of the justification to allow that to exist is you have to tone down some of the other earlier things, so that when you do get to that, it's like, okay, you basically have, if you equate it to, like, maybe a 4th or 5th level spell
4.
all the time, active. So, without concentration or anything. So it's nice to have that for sure. But I think there is a cost that needs to be paid to help when you're getting a similar effect to a higher level spell like that.
Yeah, and I think, again, Paladins as a base class pay that cost because they have to earn their abilities. They don't get anything.
Yeah.
until
most Paladin subclasses don't get a whole lot early.
I mean, being before 15 is a rule. It's basically your channel divinity and your aura.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And most of them are pretty let's be honest. Most subclasses, those are pretty lackluster for Paladins.
Both of Ancients Paladin.
Yeah, there are exceptions, but in general, they're pretty lackluster.
Yeah, especially the auras seem to be really hit and miss. And I said it under my breath, but it does make me wonder, like, Oath of Ancients Paladin exists.
Right.
And then you look at some of the other Paladins that are out there, just like...
But why?
Why are you not Oath of Ancients Paladin? Right. Specifically with the aura.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I think Paladins, because they are the way that the subclasses are worked to be top-heavy like that, it can be really difficult to balance giving them cool features early without it being ridiculous, because they get really big features at the end.
Yeah, in-game they start getting really stupid.
Right. But yeah, this one, really enjoyed it.
But they're going to feel that crit thing, potentially.
Yeah, if it comes around.
If it comes around, but yeah.
Rabbit
trail quickly, wrap back in.
So, again, guys, Fantastic Emporium, cool stuff coming from them, so make sure you check it out.
The number one rule, can't forget, I bring this up every time we do a subclass now, is why are you here?
Yes.
It's if you're going to be a new subclass, specifically, because it's kind of our thing here, stand out at being unique in a certain way, and this definitely does. Like I said, it feels like the most Paladin thing you could be.
Yeah. Besides
Oath of Devotion that already exists.
Sure.
Because like devotion for the cause. This is like for truth. I mean,
right.
Come on.
Yeah,
this feels like the other hand of Paladin.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the cool thing too is when Fantastic Emporium gave us these to look at, they're opposed to each other. Like you have the illusion tricky, ranger, and then you have the truth breaker of illusions. Yeah, I think it's cool that we had those.
Would you call it a dichotomy of things?
Yeah, that's I think the cue to end this. So we'll end it there, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when all of our new videos are coming out.
Yep.
Thanks again to our sponsors. Make sure you check them out. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks again to our sponsors, Hit Point Press and their Fable Makers deck. Omens and fortunes that you can incorporate into your campaigns. It's got books to describe ways to add these things into your campaigns, to add intrigue, plot hooks, all kinds of different ways to utilize these features.
Hey, check out this really weird or intriguing, interesting thing that kind of steer people back towards your main plotline that you're needing to advance a story you're trying to get to.
Absolutely. So guys, make sure you check out the link in the description down below.